I only dislike Zionists. Okay, well, what if I told you majority of Jews were Zionists? Like, we were speaking during the break how you don't want to be subject to racism, and that's totally valid. And I don't think you'd like living under a mayor that's like, well, I don't dislike all black people. I only dislike some.
That's not the same thing. That is not the same thing.
People on the right have been having an absolute meltdown ever since Zohran Mamdani's victory. But I don't think anyone has lost the plot quite like Emily Austin. If you don't know who Emily Austin is, she's one of the loudest pro-Israel voices on social media. And in this clip, she completely unravels while talking about Zohran Mamdani and the growing success of democratic socialists across the United States. The more she speaks, the more obvious it becomes that this isn't just about one politician. It's about a section of the political right that seems genuinely terrified by the direction some voters are taking. Now, if you're new here, I'm Bradley Hostin, and this is The Bradley Hostin Show. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. I need you guys to stick with me until the very end because after we watch this clip, I want to explain why I think this reaction says far more about Emily Austin and the people making these arguments than it does about Zohran Mamdani himself. As usual, let's watch the clip and then I'll give you guys my thoughts afterwards.
Tonight, will the rise of socialism in the Democratic Party hurt the Democrats' chances in November? Bill Maher says absolutely.
If this is where the Democratic Party is going, where this democratic socialist, this obsession with Israel, with the Jew hating, with they don't believe in capitalism, no prisons, if this is where they're going, my vote is in play.
Okay.
And
I like to hear that.
It actually always has been. Every year, I don't make my decision by who has an R or a D. I actually always came to the conclusion that the Democrat was probably better.
Sure.
And voted for them.
Okay.
And Trump can't run again, and he'd be a little too exciting for me anyway. So it's either going to be you or Rubio.
Charles, what do you make of that?
Listen, Maher does not like Mamdani. These are Mamdani's candidates. He doesn't like the positions that these people have taken. We understand that. Anybody who's followed Maher knows that. I do think the idea that democratic socialism is some sort of boogeyman that people are running away from in the country, I think people are overplaying that. I don't think that's true. I don't think people, particularly after this particular president, I don't think people are shocked by much. I don't think they're turned off necessarily by much of what somebody has said or done, because we have a model in the presidency that has done horrible, crazy, said awful things, and it's still the president of the United States. So I just don't think it is as big a deal as people are making it out to be.
I don't think that was the point. I think the point was, yeah, maybe the socialism's not taking over the country. I don't think we're near there, and anyone who says otherwise is being hysterical. But I think the loudest voices and faces of the Democratic Party are the socialists, it's the AOCs. Mamdani is probably the most spoken about person in the country right now. And if that's the face of the party, it's doing a good favor to the Republicans in the upcoming election.
Do you know how happy New York is right now? Do you know how cool it is to see your mayor? Do you know how cool it is to see your mayor jump in a pool with the kids?
I don't give a damn because about the mayor jumping in the pool.
Yeah,
I care about the future of New York. I care about my safety. I care about my children's life.
Homicides are down in New York City.
Yeah.
Rent freezes are happening. Campaign promises are being delivered.
They're punishing capitalism.
You're saying
New York is a city of capitalism with a socialist mayor. He's going to drive everyone to Panama.
No,
he's going to drive everyone to
not.
Puerto Rico. How many billionaires are already leaving?
Yeah, I just think that y'all are missing the plot too here, because this happened in your party as well. And actually, if you compared from
socialism?
another form of extremism. Actually,
well, it's on both sides.
MAGA actually happened in your party. So what happened in your party was Barack Obama was elected, the Tea Party started. Everybody was like, there's no way, there's no way. The Tea Party is in power right now because people were actually sick of the status quo. Doesn't matter what the other side labels it. When people feel like they're actually being listened to, which a lot of people actually felt like they were being listened to with Donald Trump, which is why he won a second term. I'm willing to concede that. They don't really feel that right now. And some people actually feel like the traditional and establishment Democrats are not listening to them.
I care about facts, not feelings. And the fact is that Mamdani makes everyone feel good, but what he's doing is not good.
He's delivering on his campaign promises.
I know his campaign was horrendous. I agree with you.
But he's not
delivering on socialism.
Ashley's point is that there's an anti-establishment wave, and Mamdani, AOC, others are riding it.
And Donald Trump wrote
Is that
it.
not what's
I don't
happening?
think it's that harmless. I think the reality is that candidates in New York actually were part of those organizing rallies at Columbia chanting death to America. This is not just about rent control. This is something that is far more harmful to our
Extremism.
country. But to your question about the midterms.
But wait, Mark,
hold on,
have
let
you
me
actually
finish.
seen those people chant death to
Did you see
America?
Yeah, at
Mamdani's
Columbia
wife
University,
like
yeah.
people
Yeah,
getting
I did.
kidnapped and
And she
raped
was an
on October
organizer of it.
7th?
It's
The
pretty
mayor's
awful.
wife is a
But
jihadist.
to
Let's
your
be honest
question
with
about the midterms.
ourselves.
Hold on, guys. Let me let Mark finish his thought.
Your
When
question
you
about
like
the
people
midterms.
raping and
Emily,
murdering,
Emily,
that
please
is
stop.
terrorism.
Emily,
So I'm
stop.
glad
And when you
I
elect a
think
president that
this is
sexually
going
assaults
to
women,
be-
Emily,
No, then
that's
he's not
enabled.
jail.
Emily and
So
Ashley,
he's wrong.
please stop for a second.
I
We just
think
let
this is
Mark
going
finish
to
his point
be
so
a
you can-
bigger albatross for Democrats after the midterms, because I think these people will likely get elected and they're going to be boon and fundraiser for Republicans. They're going to be a terrible problem for Jeffries. But midterms are usually about the party in power.
But New
And so
Yorkers
I
feel
don't think it's
good.
have as
That's all
much
that
of an impact
matters.
about the politics this
All
November.
right.
New Yorkers
We're
are
going to take a
American.
quick break
That's
and we'll be
it.
right back.
They
on the
deserve to
other
feel
side
good
of
as
it.
well.
And the idea of a Jewish state, Israel is a Jewish state, that's in the charter. That's the way it is now. Do you support that?
I've said time and again that I support the state of Israel as a state with equal rights. I believe that any state that
But as
preferences...
a Jewish state is the question.
I think any state that privileges one religion over the other is one that I can't tell you I support, whether it be Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. And a lot of that comes back to a fundamental belief that we should all be considered equal no matter what our faith is.
So Mark was asking in the break, is it just the economics or is it also stuff like that, Ashley, that has caused the rise of these Mamdani-esque candidates?
Well, I think putting it all under the banner of socialism actually is a misnomer. I think the socialism policies actually are the economic policies. I also think that there are people that have great issues with our alliance to Israel. Am I one of those people? I do think Israel is our ally. Do I like the current government of Israel? No. Do I like the current government of the United States? No. I'm still allowed to do that because we live in a democracy and we're able to have freedom of speech. Does that mean I should be persecuted for that? No. Could I be persecuted for that? Potentially. And is that how some people are seeing what is happening to Palestinians? So I think Mamdani's answer, in my opinion, is where I'm aligned. I think that people should be able to express their religion, express their sexuality, express their race, and express their ideologies free, whether it's a
That's what they can
Muslim,
do in Israel,
So
not
then
other
on both-
countries.
not
in the region.
Palestinians.
Not
Palestinians.
are Supreme Court judges in Israel. Palestinians have rights
Not
to
at the
vote
West
in the
Bank.
election.
Not
Well,
in the
West Bank
occupation.
doesn't want to be part of Israel. Neither does Gaza. So if they were
So-
part of Israel, then they can
Not
have the same
Palestinians
rights
that
as
live in
Israelis.
Israel.
Here's
They
what I want to
can't-
ask you,
they
Charles. I
absolutely
mean,
can.
are Republicans making a mistake to assume that that sentiment that we just heard from Mamdani is something that is only reserved for far left liberals? Because when I look at the polling and I see young, conservatives, their views on Israel have shifted sharply negative over the last couple of years.
And I think I'm looking at the same polls that you're looking at, which is why I'm always confused when people pick out people on the left who are running for office and say that they have said something that was offensive, and they say that they, as you have said before, that that they are horrible people and you condemn them, right? So, but when Randy Fine in Florida was running for office, who Donald Trump actually endorsed, and he said that Palestinian is just another word for demon, which is still up on his Twitter page right now. I looked to see if either of you had ever condemned him for that. And I might have missed it. My fault. I will give you the opportunity right now to condemn that the same way that you are condemning the other people.
There you go, condemned. I think
Thank
we
you
could
so
agree.
much. I appreciate
I think we
that.
could
I
agree two
appreciate-
things
I
are
really
wrong.
appreciate
we
that.
have.
I really appreciate
I
that.
think it's the bare minimum to be like, hey, Palestinians are human too.
I appreciate
but I
that
don't
so much.
appreciate when my mayor is like, oh, I don't dislike Jews. I only dislike Zionists. Okay, well, what if I told you majority of Jews were Zionists? Like we were speaking during the break how you don't want to be subject to racism, and that's totally valid. And I don't think you'd like living under a mayor that's like, well, I don't dislike all black people. I only dislike some.
That's not-
I'm
that's
sure
not
you
the same
would, but I
thing.
don't
That
think
is not the
it
same
because
thing.
most Jews
That is
are
not the
that,
same
but I
thing.
actually
don't
and
think
that's
that's
not the
what
same thing.
I don't
That
know
is
if
not
that's
the same
what
thing.
I don't
Don't
want
drag us into that, by the way.
I
drag you into
Don't
what?
drag us into. Don't drag us into
let me
your
let
discussion about
Ashley
that it's the same thing as black
Zionists?
people. Don't
Ashley,
drag us
this is
into
the
that.
last word here.
Don't drag us into that.
I think that I think what I hear when I actually hear Mamdani speak is that he says that he does not like the ideology of having a religious state. Whether it is, he said, Saudi Arabia, which is a predominantly Muslim state, or Israel, which is a predominantly
No, I
Jewish
hear you,
state.
but he never talks about the other states, and I think we could.
He literally
outside of this interview, has he
literally
ever
said it.
made it his point to constantly talk
I
about
really want to just let Ashley finish this thought.
Never, but just
He
Well, you
never
invitation
can't,
just so.
but I think that's the problem, right? Is that folks are so dug in on this. And I understand it as someone who is not a part of either one of those communities. Because I was sitting at a table on October 7th with a Palestinian and with somebody who has lived in Israel. And I saw the tension, and I thought it was not my place to get in it. So I understand the personal pain that both of those folks are feeling. But I think words actually do matter. And what he said in that interview is what you're saying he didn't say.
Yeah, but his wife was liking videos of women
so
getting
I
raped
get-
on October 7th.
I guess-
so I don't
I
know
guess,
if I
like-
care about Mamdani's words, to be honest with you.
Well, then
When the
can I
woman
say I
get
don't know if I
married,
care about
who I'm
Donald
sure he
Trump's
supports.
words when he says
But
he's
follow
not,
his actions, exactly. Don't
He
listen to
tweeted
Trump's
apes.
words. Don't
He
follow his
tweeted
words,
apes.
follow his
He
actions. I
discriminated
want
against-
Mamdani's actions to be as generous
But
as his
Emily,
words.
but
I hope
Emily,
so.
Emily, I am actually following Trump's words and actions. He tweeted apes. He had somebody on his backyard that called the first black lady, the first black first lady, a man. He discriminated in the 70s against black people in housing. He actually called
So
for
did
the
Biden.
execution of the exonerated five. I am not only watching his words, I am watching the most powerful man's actions, and I'm also being told to ignore that.
All right, we're going to leave
Not
it
acceptable
there.
to me.
Next for us.
So, let me give you guys my thoughts, because I think this entire conversation tells us one thing more than anything else. These people are terrified of Zohran Mamdani. And the reason I say that is because when you strip away all the outrage, all the headlines, and all the social media clips, what is he actually doing? He's delivering. That's the part they don't want to talk about. Let's look at the facts. He froze rent for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments, the first time that's ever happened in the history of New York's Rent Guidelines Board. Within days of taking office, his administration secured over $1 billion for universal childcare. They've recovered millions from landlords who violated tenants' rights, repaired thousands of apartments, and city crews have filled more than 100,000 potholes in just his first 100 days. Whether you agree with his politics or not, those are tangible results. So if that's what he's delivering, why are people like Emily Austin so obsessed with attacking him? In my opinion, it has very little to do with his record as mayor. It has everything to do with the fact that Zohran Mamdani has been one of the loudest critics of Israel's actions in Gaza. That's where this really starts. And let's be honest, the fact that he's Muslim only adds fuel to that conversation for some of his critics. Because if this was really about how he's governing New York, they'd have to acknowledge that a lot of New Yorkers actually approve of the job he's doing. Poll after poll shows he's viewed favorably by a large percentage of city voters. That completely destroys the narrative that he's some wildly unpopular extremist. Then you have Emily Austin herself. She openly describes herself as a Zionist, has worked in communications for Israel's mission to the United Nations, and has repeatedly made Israel one of her biggest priorities publicly. So when I hear her attacking Zohran Mamdani, I think people should at least understand where she's coming from and what perspective she's bringing into the debate. But I think there's an even bigger reason all of this is happening. Zohran Mamdani is exposing something that a lot of politicians on both the left and the right don't want exposed. For years, we've been told that government can't move quickly, that it can't solve everyday problems, that meaningful change takes decades. Then along comes someone who starts delivering on campaign promises, and suddenly the excuses don't sound so convincing anymore. To me, that's why he's become such a lightning rod. He's reminding people what elected officials are actually supposed to do. They're supposed to work for ordinary people. They're supposed to make housing more affordable, improve public services, and make people's lives better, not spend all their time protecting wealthy interests or playing political games. Whether Zohran Mamdani succeeds in the long run remains to be seen. Every politician should be judged by their record over time, but if we're going to criticize him, let's criticize him based on facts, not narratives, because at the end of the day, results matter. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news commentaries. I'll see you guys in the next one.